downtime and boredom isn't, I mean, you were probably bored my whole adolescence. I feel like I was bored all the time. So I don't think it's that important to fill every moment of their day. Let them kind of fill in those blanks. And as a mom, you don't have to feel guilty about that.
Can you hear me?
I can. You holding it down?
Best I can.
I think I'll be good for I could probably do this for 4 weeks and then I'll start to unravel.
So if you're not familiar with Bustmob, it's my online community of women who want or have implants, and I really wanted to give them something to really just inspire confidence in this weird time when people are at home, they don't know what to do with themselves, like me, and people who have kids, like more than one, and it's kind of weird, especially around here with schools being closed for 22 weeks. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to think about it. So I wanted to interview you because it's like I saw your Instagram and me and Greta were talking, and it's like you do so much from home. Like you have a business and you've got 3 kids, and how do you do it? How is this? Is this it's like you've been preparing for this moment.
It's crazy. Everyone's checking, we're all checking in on each other. How are you doing? I'm I'm embarrassed to say that I've been living isolated. It's my life. It's the age of my kids. It's the way my business works. There are days on when the world is healthy, there are days or weeks that I'm I should probably leave the house. So for me, it hasn't been a dramatic transition or halt, which is I'm embarrassed to say it, but it's just what I need to be doing right now. My kids are little. It's a pain in the neck to take them anywhere because there's so many of them. So yeah, I definitely think people are looking at me oh, she really has this together. I'm people, I've been doing this for 5 years. But yeah, it's a lot. It's chaos. I'm not a person who enjoys living in that type of environment. So I've had to learn a lot of ways to still do what I need to do to be happy while my kids are here and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm sure we'll get into it, but it's doable. It's totally doable where they can stay happy. They can have structure. You can knock your stuff out and not want to strangle them by the end of the day. It's, but where my kids are just 6, almost 4, and almost 2. So we're in the weeds. We're in that nitty gritty attention, crying, wetting the bed, teething, all of that chaos still. But it's, it's perspective, because maybe I wouldn't have the opportunities to be with them 24/7 if, something else. So it's good. It's all good. It's all relative. Everybody's in the same boat, and we're just learning. But I have things and methods that I can share with you.
Yeah. Well, tell me about yourself. What do you do at home?
Okay. So we just moved to Raleigh at the end of the summer we were in Atlanta for 10 years. It was a big opportunity for my husband, and we were okay, this is a good decision for us. So we've been here, which is good. I had enough time to figure out where Target is, school, all of that before we shut down. So we've been here, in North Carolina for a few months, and I run an online fitness studio. After I had my second son, somebody was I want to take your class. They knew I was doing something, and I jumped on a Facebook Live group because it was so hard for me to be a group fitness instructor with kids. I was interrupting them with their nap. It was a 3-hour total thing. It was just, it would mess everybody up. And I kept thinking, I'm getting paid to show up. It's got to be hard for the girls who want to attend a class, but can't figure it out whether they can bring their kids or not bring their kids, what time works best. So I was like, okay. So I jumped on Facebook Live. I was a nervous wreck, and I was like, here's the class that I've been doing. And I just like hosted a class, and people were like knocking my door down, knocking my husband's door down, like, we'll pay her if she does this for us. Like, that was such a good workout, but it's intense in a manageable, doable way. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna start a business. And it started on Facebook, and I would just jump into a group, teach these classes a couple times a week. And then it slowly progressed to, well, I guess I should probably have a website. And my kids were starting to get a little older, so their nap times weren't falling at the same time. So I was like, let me pre-record this. And now I have, Bar Alley is 3 years old. I have a website. We have all kinds of workouts that launch each week. And it's been a nice speed of growth, because I only pivot based on what the girls are asking. So they've been able to push and help progress the business, because I don't really have to create or think, or they're just like, hey, this is what we need. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. Let me give that to you. So that's been really cool. And it's been something I can maintain while my kids are at home. It's been something that I've been able to build. And it's nice to have a focus that doesn't involve the kids. I think that's important for me. It's hard to shut off being a mom when you're in the house. It's also hard to shut off being a business owner when you work from the house. And I've been able to somewhat draw the line of, here are my office hours. And one of your questions were, do you wing it or are you super structured? I am super structured.
So how do you structure your time when you're home with the kids? Like, just with you and the kids? How does that look?
Yeah. Okay. So typically I don't do anything that's related to business. And part of my business is social media, which can be tricky because, I mean, you can get on that quickly. So I try not to open my email. I try not to touch my phone until 10 o'clock. So there are tons of ways that you can kind of preload information. So even if I need to put stuff out there in advance, I'm doing all of that at night. So we wake up, everybody kind of gets dressed, we eat, we play. My youngest goes down for a nap at 10. Nice. So that's when he gets plugged into bed, and then I have an hour and a half to do things. So that's usually my morning routine of, I don't even really check emails, but it's more of like prepping my site, checking in with my girls. I'll film my workouts then. And most of my work day happens at 7 o'clock at night and on. Mm-hmm. So it's tricky. I don't like it. I'm not a night owl, but I can't split. My mind can't go in two different places. And so if I need to be around my kids, I can't dedicate that time for office hours, which is tough, but it's nice. Sometimes I'll put on my podcast and I just kind of zone out. It's my space. Nobody's interrupting me. Nobody's walking in and asking for things. They're zonked. And that's where I can get, so I typically work from, my boys all go down at 6:30, which is another, I am structured in my business, our schedule, where I'm just a structured person. For sanity, I don't know. It's probably, yeah, I've been like this for a long time. I feel like I was trained like that because when you're a gymnast, you have so many hours in the gym, you can't do everything unless you're efficient at it. And so once they're down, I work probably until 10 or 11, depending on what it is. And I do a lot on Sunday nights. So I try to prep my entire week. So Sunday night is my longest evening check-in office hour thing. I make I have like a running, and it's like obnoxious, but this is like my running master list of things that need to be done. It can be,
look how organized you are back there.
Yes, it's a certain thing at the grocery store. It's this wood in the garage that I've been dying to have my husband paint. There's all it's just random. I just have to dump information, and I'm a pen paper girl. So I have to write it down, and then, which here's where you guys are going to be like, she's crazy. So I have that master to-do list, and then every day I'll go down. So this R stands for Thursday. So last night I wrote and said, okay, here are the things that I can knock out tomorrow. So I'll write all of those things down, what meetings I have, so let me see. So there are workouts I have to do. There are, I got to do my online grocery thing, all kinds of random posts. I want to double check that my post goes out, that kind of stuff. So then I have that. So here's Thursday. I started my Friday one already. And then I have this, which at a nail salon, this is what they use for their employees. So this would be, so this on in a normal world, when we are leaving the house, this is my oldest son, middle, the baby, me, my husband. And typically I would highlight out, let's see, since we haven't left the house in a minute. So you can see here, I highlight out what everyone is doing, who's with who, soccer practice, school, that kind of stuff. And then I go in, so I take what I need to do today, and then I give myself a timeline.
Where do you get that book?
Amazon.
Nice.
So it is called, so I have 5 people in my family. It's called a 5-column appointment book. It's awesome. So that is how I do things, because I know myself and I work really good off of a checklist. And even if I don't want to do something, I'll do it just because I want to cross it off the list.
I do that too.
Yes. And I know that about myself. So that's how I have to do things. I like to fill my day, because the busier I am, the more efficient I am. And if I have nothing on a list, I won't even brush my teeth. So for me, it's important when I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I realize that this is a little intense for a lot of people. This is something that I've slowly started to, I like control. I like feeling accomplished. I like feeling like I've done something throughout the day. And even if I don't have a lot of tasks, I always revert back to do the basics. For me, that is shower, sunshine, food. So those things, if I'm in a place where I'm like, there's too much to do, I don't know where to start, I have no motivation, those things I have to get those done. So I will take a shower, I will go outside, whether it's with my kids or not, those types of things, and I'll write those things down, because the feeling that you get when you're able to mark something off the list is like, yeah, give me something else to do so I can check that off. So I kind of create that for myself to keep me going. I shoot workouts just about every day of the week. Who wants to do that? That can be tough. It can be daunting. I also spend a lot of time formatting the class. And so I'm like, I spend so much time formatting, and now I have to get it and perform it. That can be a roadblock. I can have a mental block on that. So sometimes I'm like, okay, you don't have to do it at 10 o'clock. So I'm flexible in my schedule. But then I still go back where I'm like, okay, shower. Even though I'm going to shower after my workout, let's get back to the basics. Let's shower. Let's get some sunshine. Let's drink some green juice. And then that kind of snowballs into me getting things done throughout the day.
I like that. It's like daily goal setting. Every single day. Put everything on a list, even the things that you don't think should go on the list, but it keeps you going, kind of like a snowball.
Yes,
like, well, I started at the top. I took my shower. Snowball into the next thing.
And with kids, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
I consider a shower an accomplishment.
Yeah. And I do that a lot with my kids too, especially now. So my oldest is in kindergarten. I mean, online school is kind of, so our teacher has done it a couple times. She reads a book. It's great. It's probably like a 30-minute day. I'm like, I'm supposed to fill that whole day. So I do for me, I am in charge of my household. So now that they are in my space, they are in charge of that household with me. So they're 6, almost 4, almost 2, and they do chores and they clean and they help and they participate. That fills up the day. Long bath, that's a reward. You can bring whatever toy you want to in the bath. So those types of things, because they will knock those things out and it helps keep them going, and then they get whatever choice they want in the playroom or something like that, so they can kind of, it's a snowball effect for them too. Let me knock out my work, and then we can, my boys are little, so the iPads and that kind of stuff isn't really, I mean, they're not scrolling Instagram, they're not, so that's not, they'll do like the Lego Masters, that new show, so they'll do something like that they can earn. So I try to instill that in my kids as well. Having said that, I do enjoy them having board time, because I think a lot comes out of children when they have nothing to do. They have a million toys, but they have nothing to do. And so I think imagination, and they can, work together as a team. The other day I gave them like balloons. I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, what could these balloons be? What are you? So you kind of force them to create it. So downtime and boredom isn't, I mean, you were probably bored my whole adolescence. I feel like I was bored all the time. So I don't think it's that important to fill every moment of their day. Let them kind of fill in those blanks. And as a mom, you don't have to feel guilty about that. They're allowed to be bored. They're allowed to roll their eyes when they do chores, but they also have to participate in whatever is happening here. So we've been able to pivot pretty good, even though my kids are little. So when I say they're doing chores, we're sweeping up behind them. But it's nice for them to feel like they're pitching in, they're part of this team, they're responsible for helping and that kind of thing. So structure is something kids thrive off of.
Nice.
Structure, if you haven't noticed, is something I thrive off of.
I've noticed. I'm inspired. I'm gonna go on Amazon after this call and get that book, a 3-column book.
It's great. It sounds like a little kooky, but it's nice, especially when the world is normal. My husband travels, so I need to know if he's out of the picture completely, if he can do a carpool pickup. So I'm such a visual person that to see it all highlighted out like that, it just clicks for my brain. So I don't leave somebody at school.
That would be tough between 3 kids. I'd be like, where do I go now?
Yeah, exactly.
So what's some of your favorite activities to do with the kids now that you're all at home together?
We're all here. So part of my nightly routine is I'll set up one activity for the next morning. So when I'm like cooking breakfast and that type of thing, there's a woman on Instagram at Busy Toddler, and she has excellent resources that you probably have everything at home. It's like construction paper, tape, markers, stickers. So I typically like do a little visit on her site. Susie, that's her. Yep. I just bought, now that I know that school's going to be out, she has 2 little like workbook guides that involve very little equipment. And I'm a person who, I'm really good at setting up activities for kids, but I'm not great at enjoying sitting down and doing those activities, which it took me a couple of years to not feel guilty about that. But it doesn't make sense for me at 33 to enjoy what a 2-year-old enjoys. It's okay that it's not a match made in heaven. So I can provide activities. I know my strength. I can provide an activity. And then we do a lot of independent play at my house. So I have stations and centers set up on our first floor, up in the playroom. And then I can just, okay, here we go. This is what you're doing now. And then I can breathe for a second. So I think that's important. My kindergartner I did, and you can see on my Instagram, I have a highlight, one of those little highlights saved of all of these different things.
Cool.
So my kindergartner I did construction paper, taped it to the wall, and then he fills in the blanks like 4 plus what equals 5. And then I have little Post-its. Yep. So then that's his morning activity. I have Ziploc bags full of water and food coloring that I taped to the windows, and my 2-year-old can smack them. And that's his activity. My 3-year-old enjoys stickers and small figurines and stuff like that. So he'll get plopped at the kitchen table. And then I'm responsible for keeping them busy, but I don't have to sit and that kind of stuff. And I wish I was a little bit better at enjoying that, but I know my strengths. So I can provide the fun. I don't feel as responsible to execute that. And so I think that's really important. I also think moving spaces throughout your house is important. So don't spend all day in one room. So even our bedroom, which isn't a place that we like hang out, but if they want to sit on our bed and jump and that kind of thing, so we'll go from the kitchen there. Outside is a place where we can spend a long time. So the driveway is different than what we do in the front yard, which is different from the backyard. So we can create some breathing room for everybody by moving throughout the space. And my 6-year-old, he doesn't have to be doing what the baby does. So I do allow them to kind of split apart and do their own stuff. And I have all boys, so they're not kids who are going to sit and do, so they are active. They got to move. That I just ordered one of those mini trampolines.
Yeah.
And it came in and my husband said, "Is this a quarantined purchase?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I feel like they got to like get it all out. And they did for like 45 minutes. I set a timer for every 20 seconds. It made a noise. And they all had to rotate, and they bounced on that forever.
It's awesome.
Fine. And then we cooked dinner together. It was great. So different things like that. I also think it's important to know that you don't have to, I'm not a teacher. I'm not an educator. It doesn't really interest me, and that's okay. We don't have to be all of these things for our kids. I think it's important to double down on the things that we are good at. For me, I enjoy exercise. I enjoy healthy foods, which means I involve my kids in exercise, in cooking with me. So it's okay if you like to do crafts. So get them involved in your crafts, because as important as it is for a kid to feel involved, the dad needs to feel involved too. And you can teach them your trade. You can teach them what you know. You don't have to teach them everything.
I like that. And what's your Instagram name?
Bar Alley. So it's BARRE, bar like the fitness.
Your
Alley. My shirt. Bar Alley. Alley is our last name, so it's spelled like Alley Cat. So Bar Alley is my Instagram, and I have different snack ideas for kids, different ideas that we've been doing to stay sane here. I do those free, I'm calling them socially distant play dates. So every morning at 9 a.m., me and my boys have a workout that we do that's kid friendly. It's short, so it keeps their attention span. And that's really nice to set the tone for the day.
I like the one where you had the, what was it? A vacuum cleaner? You were like, and vacuum, and vacuum.
Yes, your vacuum. Yes. So I do a lot of functional fitness moves, because that takes core strength to push and pull and vacuum.
It looks hard.
So, and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy that. And so because I know that that's something that I am good at, that's what I'm choosing to kind of double down on. And I encourage everyone else to double down on what they're good at. And you don't have to be good at everything.
Right.
It's okay.
It's always encouraging to hear.
Yes.
Well, is there any other takeaways that you would like to give women out there who aren't not used to being home, and 2, especially not used to being home with their kids?
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate feeling. It's okay. to feel overwhelmed is okay. And I think you have to ask yourself, on a normal day when you are overwhelmed, what is your calm down method? How do you, ramp back up? And that is how you need to change and pivot. And not all days have to be good. So not all days have to be efficient. I tend to mark a success if I'm efficient for 4 of my 5 days of the week. One day is going to be a crapshoot. And it's, if you set that up as your mindset, you're not let down as much. So for people who are working at home, I think it's realistic to know that you're not going to be running at 100%. It's hard to split your time in general, but when you have all of these interruptions and things like that, it can feel impossible. So find those pockets of the day, and don't feel like because you were always at the office at 8 o'clock, that's how you have to structure the day now. Life is different today. So in my world, what works better is I have to become this night owl type of person, which honestly I love, because my kids are here, my husband's here, but nobody's bothering me. It's kind of great. So it's taken me a while because I was resenting that. Like, well, I want to go to bed and I want to watch TV. Mm-hmm. Why do I get the, crap end of the stick? But I enjoy that time because I can only give 100%. Everybody can only deliver 100%. So if you have to give 95% up to your kids in a certain hour, you have 5% to give to your business or to whatever you're doing. So when is a time that you're able to dedicate 95% to work? That may be when your kids don't need you as much. So it's okay to pivot. It's okay to shift. And then you have to find out what works for you. Maybe that's waking up super early in the morning before your children's day starts. And it's okay to do. So I have my running list. It's okay if all of these don't get checked off. You pull it into the next day. So it's nice to feel efficient, but it's also a realistic expectation that whole list isn't getting done, especially in what's going on now. Things like I clean the house, we cook, all of those types of things. My kids can help with that. So tasking them to unload your husbands, your spouses, unload some of that stuff onto them to free up time for you to, so it doesn't have to all be on your shoulders, divide and conquer.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You have 3 lists that you could be doing things from, and you took 30 minutes out of your day for this, and I really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, that's the thing. You can be so efficient. I've got a lot of time. I don't feel overwhelmed, even though it looks like, why does she have so much stuff to do? But when you break it down day to day, it's totally doable. It's not so overwhelming when you just have a few things to knock out. So
I love that. I love your lists, like your master list and your daily list and your family list. It's like,
gotta have it.
It's probably freeing to have all of that not having to stick in your brain and try to remember and like, oh, I forgot something. It's like, no, you can put it down, and then it just seems so freeing to have that.
Yeah, it's called a brain dump. You just have to dump it all out. And so my husband will use like the notes in his phone. Mm-hmm. That's him. I gotta write it down. Pen and paper.
Well, you do you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.